really. Week 8 NFL picks. Um, again, straight up for picks, pretty good. I bounced back last week, went 12-5. I'm going to give you my predictions. Against the spread, I'm not very good at the spread. This season it's been tough picking against the spread. A lot of, upsets this year in terms of the spread. So this week I'm going to give you my week 8 picks. See if you can agree with me or not. As you can see, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So very biased. So I've lost 8 games because of them. 4 on the spread, 4 on the straight up. So for a week 8 picks, I'm going to tell you right now. I already got one game right, which is the Carolina Panthers beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have this week. I got the New York Giants beating the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Giants are bouncing back as a team. Last week they were rolling against a struggling Minnesota team. I know Minnesota's not very good this year. They got a quarterback controversy, Josh Freeman, Christian Ponder. Philadelphia, they came off a hard loss against the Dallas Cowboys, and now they also have a quarterback controversy because Michael Vick is hurt, and Nick Foles also got hurt, so they're both banged up, and when they go in the game, I see the defensive line of the New York Giants, taking it to them, getting a lot of sacks. Tuck and Pierre-Paul are gonna get to that quarterback, whoever it may be, Vic or Foles. If Vic is playing, I see they have a better chance at winning with Vic than Foles when they play the Giants this week. But I got the New York Giants this week. Game 2, San Francisco playing Jacksonville. I see this being a 20-point blowout. It's going to be played in London. San Francisco's defense just way too strong. Jacksonville's been the worst team in the National Football League. And I see whoever the quarterback may be, if it's Blaine Gabbert, I see him throwing like 5 picks to Carlos Rogers. And if it's Chad Henne, I see him having a little bit more production, but it's tough for a team like Jacksonville to be playing a team like San Fran, who's just dominant at every focal point of their team. Offensively, Colin Kaepernick was the Colin Kaepernick of last year. You saw him last week produce, getting his first rushing touchdown of the year. Frank Gore rushing for over 100 yards and rushing for 2 touchdowns. They got great weapons on the whiteout. They're going to get Michael Crabtree back. They also have Anquan Bolden and Vernon Davis, two very good wideouts in the tight end position. They're going to dominate. They're going to win by 20 plus for sure against Jacksonville. I also got them winning by 20 plus as well on the spread. So I got the 49ers beating Jacksonville straight up. My next game, this is probably the game of the week. It's Detroit and Dallas. Detroit came off a tough loss last week to a Cincinnati Bengal team who was very tough. Lost by field goal. And last week, Calvin Johnson came back, scored 2 touchdowns. He's the Megatron of old after he came back from his injury. So this is a big matchup now. Calvin Johnson versus Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant has proved he is one of the best receivers in the National Football League. I have Bryant and Johnson as the 1 and 2 on my top receiver list, and Tony Romo's had a great year so far. He's blowing one game, but the Cowboys are, I believe they'll win the NFC East. They're a good team. Just this week, I don't see them beating Detroit. That they're too banged up on the defensive side. There's no DeMarcus Ware, no Ratliff. And they're missing probably the best player besides Brian on offense is DeMarco Murray. So I don't see the run game, producing this week against the Detroit defense. That's they're decent, but I see Detroit dominating. I like Matthew Stafford. I like the matchup, and I see Detroit beating Dallas by 3. It's gonna be a close game. The next game is New England and Miami. Two teams coming off major losses, Miami to Buffalo and New England to the Jets. Very key divisional matchup for these two because, you lose a game in the division, you're down 2 games. Miami, they were struggling on offense. Their receivers weren't going, and quarterback Ryan Tannehill, it wasn't very good. Throwing 3 interceptions on a Buffalo team who's actually pretty good. They got a good defense. They got a good secondary core, and Miami's just struggling on all aspects of the football. Yeah, they almost had a chance to win the ball game, but it's tough to be a Dolphin fan this year. The New England Patriots, tough loss. I mean, it's tough when you lose to New York Jets, especially. They barely beat them week 2 on Thursday Night Football. They barely beat them. And, Tom Brady, is getting frustrated. Now that he's got Rob Gronkowski back, I see New England taking it to Miami. I see Gronkowski getting 3 touchdowns. This guy is that good. He's going to get back into his form as last year's production and the year before that, where he's just the best tight end this league has seen. So I got New England beating Miami Dolphins. Next game, New Orleans and Buffalo. Saints coming off a bye, off a tough loss against the New England Patriots. That 5-second touchdown uh, left by Campbell Tompkins from Tom Brady. I see this defense regrouping. I see him getting to Thad Lewis, and they've regrouped. Coach Sean Payton and Drew Brees. They're gonna, they talked it out. They're gonna get back on track this week against the Bills team, who's strong. They're gonna keep it close. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a close game, but New Orleans gonna beat them. I'm going to say about New Orleans going to score some points. They're going to score a lot of points. I'm going to say 31-14. I say Buffalo gets a couple touchdowns, but I see New Orleans closing this out early. They're that good of a team, especially at their Mercedes-Benz Superdome. They're that good of a team. Buffalo away from home, they're not as strong as they were, but they'll give New Orleans a pretty decent run. Next game, Kansas City, Cleveland. I got the Chiefs. They're 7-0, surprisingly. Actually, not surprisingly, because they deserve to be 7-0. They have a really good defense led by Tom Holly and Justin Houston. They're gonna get to whoever plays quarterback this week, and I think it's not Brandon Weeden. Jason Campbell is now the starter in Cleveland this week, and I see Jason Campbell struggling against this Kansas City defense. I don't see 1 week of prep to play against this tough D. So I see Kansas City going 8-0 to beat the Cleveland Browns. Now, Pittsburgh, Oakland. You know who I'm picking. Taking the Steelers. Steelers have bounced back. They started off 0-4, probably the worst start in Steeler history. Bounced back, 2 great wins against the New York Jet, tough New York Jet team, beat them 19-6. And last week, a game-winning field goal by Sean Sweezum to beat the Baltimore Ravens in probably the most hated and best rivalry in the National Football League, 1916. So I see the Steelers taking it to Oakland. The Steelers are 18-2 against rookie quarterbacks all time under the defensive coordinator of Dick LeBeau. I see Terrell Pryor throwing a couple picks and getting sacked about 4 or 5 times. This Steelers D is going to get to Pryor, Lamar Woodley, Lawrence Timmons, Vince Williams, and I see Paul Muzzle getting his first pick this weekend. The Steelers go on to win. It's going to be, I'm going to say the Steelers don't score as much points on offense, but they're going to win 21-10. I see 10 points only being production as a garbage point. And I see Le'Veon Bell having a great day on that team. Over 100 yards rushing, and he's going to get a touchdown for sure. So that's my, obviously I'm biased towards Pittsburgh, but they're going to do well this weekend. It's going to be 21-10. I don't see a high-scoring game, but Oakland will give them a tough run. They're a decent team. They've given a lot of teams a tough run. They've beaten a good team like San Diego, so I wouldn't be surprised if they stuck around this game. Next game is another tough matchup. New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals. I got the New York Jets. I hate the Bengals, but Cincinnati is that good of a team. That defense is really good. I like their front court with Geno Atkins. I like Ray Maluga, strong players. They even got our own James Harrison down there in Cincy, so they're going to be fine. But I see them losing to a tough Jets team. I see Rex Ryan and that crew just, they keep growing. Geno Smith is growing as a quarterback. He's getting better. Yeah, he's made a lot of mistakes, but he's learned. And he is beating the Patriots team. Now, I think this week, this is the upset of the week. The Jets are going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets win by a field goal. Now, next game, Atlanta and Arizona. Two tough teams, two teams that have been struggling this year, man. It's tough to be a receiver. It's tough to be Larry Fitzgerald playing on a team like Arizona. They're 500. I see them winning this week. I think. Actually, no. I'm gonna pick the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta's gonna beat Arizona, even though the best receiving core, one of the best receiving cores in the National Football League, and Roddy White and Julio Jones are both gone. I see Atlanta winning. They got some good options. They're getting Steven Jackson back, so I think Matt Ryan is gonna monitor this game great. I see a lot of defensive turnovers from that Falcon D, and I see Atlanta beating the Arizona Cardinals. Next game is Denver Washington. Washington got their their second win of the year last year against a tough Bears team. It was a shootout, 45-41. That's a shootout, man. And you got to give credit to Robert Griffin III and Roy Halou, uh, who was dominating. Alfred Morris didn't get the bulk of the carries. So I see um, the Denver Broncos, though, coming back to win. Tough loss in Indy, especially for Peyton and them. But I see him rolling. I see Manning getting back to the form he was back in the earlier weeks of the year. I see, this Washington defense only came alive last week a little bit. I know they gave up 41 points, but they came alive a bit. But I see Peyton Manning just picking apart that defense with, with the weapons he's got. Walker, Thomas, Decker, and Julius Thomas, and even Noshawn Marino on a week Washington Redskins run D. I see Marino run all over them, running for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I see Denver Bronco win, and they're going to get back on track. Um, they're six. They're going to be. They're going to be 7-1. Too bad they're going to be number 2 in that division. They're number 5 in the AFC.